Alright, Chapter 1, Lesson 3, Adding and Subtracting Integers. Our central question for today, how do you add and subtract integers? Simple enough. So we're going to start off part 1. So to add integers. Gotta go quicker this time. Got yelled at last time for taking too long. So adding integers. To add integers, we're going to list some steps out here. It's not really steps so much as basic rules. So to add your integers, you look to see if the signs of the two numbers are the same. If the sign, oops, I didn't write down what she wrote down. If the signs are the same, sorry. So they're both positive or both negative. Then you add the numbers together. And you keep that sign. So two positive numbers added together will always be positive. Two negative numbers added together will always be negative. Okay, that's the easy one. This is where it gets more difficult. So if the signs are different, so one positive, one negative. Different. Two F's. Instead of adding, you subtract the numbers. And then you keep the sign of the higher absolute value. Oof, that's a bad A. Okay, I can do better than that. And what absolute value is just the distance from 0 or the bigger number if you don't think of the sign. Like -8 has a higher absolute value than 5 because 8 is more than 5. Okay, and that's basically it. If you're adding integers, signs are the same, add and keep. If they're different, subtract, keep the sign of the higher number. So we'll do a couple of examples, and then we're halfway done. All right, so example 1. So -14 plus -8. And something you'll start seeing is if you have an add or subtract and then a negative number, they put the second negative in parentheses just so you see that the negative goes with that number. So it doesn't look like it says plus minus. Okay? But other than that, doesn't affect the problem. It's just -14 plus -8. So we look, we say the signs are the same, both negative. So we add and keep the sign. So we don't even think of the negatives. We just say, what's 14 plus 8? And 14 plus 8 is 22. So we can say -14 plus -8 is -22. So just add the numbers together, keep that sign. That's it. Okay, our second example, we have -15 plus a +5. So this time the signs are different. So according to our rules up above, we are going to subtract And keep, that's gonna bother me. That's better. Keep the sign of the higher number. Okay, so 15 minus 5, right, we're subtracting, is 10. So negative 15 plus 5. We know it's, this part's right, then we just need to know is it positive or negative. So I say what's bigger, 15 or 5? And recognize that 15 is bigger, so negative 15 has a higher absolute value, so we're going to keep the negative sign, and this answer becomes negative 10. Okay. And again, since we're just taking notes, it's not so much a conceptual why is that the answer, it's just these are the rules that make it true, and then later on we'll get into why that's true. Or hopefully you covered it last year maybe? I don't know. Alright, number 3 is a little bit open-ended, so we have 8 plus negative 7 equals, and then, question mark. So you're going to write down, well, you're going to write down the question too. Which rule do you use? So our two rules are same sign, add and keep, or different sign, subtract and keep the sign of the higher number. Look like an H. Okay, so somewhere down here, write down that answer and then the answer to the question. And then you should also be adding your own questions over here. So like, since these are the rules, your question can be, what are the rules for adding integers, right? Don't forget this part. All right, second part, we added, so now we're going to subtract integers. So star, oof, I need to practice my writing more. Okay, so to subtract integers, and this is where it gets a little bit interesting. This is a big struggle for kids. But in reality, to subtract integers, you don't think of it as subtracting. You change it to an addition problem. So we say we add the opposite, which will be a line you hear an awful lot this year. So there's a little acronym that sort of helps called KFC, like the chicken place, which stands for keep, flip, change. And then we're going to look at how that works. So our example, number 4, we have 2 minus, and then we're going to put 15. We're going to put this in parentheses. Usually don't put positive numbers in parentheses, but we can practice. So we're going to say KFC. And all this is, the whole idea of KFC is just to rewrite, whoops, I don't know how to spell, rewrite the problem. So we're going to change this from a subtraction problem to an addition problem. So keep the first number, you leave it alone. 2 stays as a 2. Okay. You flip the sign, so subtraction becomes addition. Okay. And then we change the sign of our second number. So positive becomes negative, a negative would become positive. In this case, positive 15 becomes negative 15. Okay. And now we have an addition problem just like what we had on the other side. So now we use our addition rules. use your addition rules. So we look, are the signs the same or different? So we say different signs. So we're going to subtract. And keep the sign of the higher number. Okay, so 15 minus 2 is 13. So if we write this out, so we have 2. Okay, hold on. 2 plus negative 15 equals. So 15 minus 2 is 13. 15 is a higher number than 2, so we're going to keep this negative sign. Our answer is just negative 13. Okay. All right, not one more example, two more examples. One more that I'm going to do with. So number 5, okay, negative 13 minus 8. Okay. So first thing we do is we rewrite using KFC. So we're going to keep our first number. So negative 13 gets to stay negative 13. We're going to flip the sign of our problem. So negative becomes minus sign becomes a plus. And then we're going to change the sign of our second number. So positive 8 is going to become negative 8. Okay. And then now use our addition rules. Which in this case, now we have two negatives. So we're going to add and keep. So two negatives, we just combine them together. So negative 13 plus negative 8 is equal to negative 21. Oh, I guess I lied. I didn't read this very closely. So number 6, we're actually going to do together. So what to do with more than two numbers? So let's say we have negative 4 plus negative 17 plus 22. Okay, so the only difference here with three numbers is we just have to break it into like separate problems. So we're always going to go two numbers. I don't know how to spell. Two numbers at a time. And then we're going to follow the rules. Okay, so I'm going to start right here with these first two numbers. So negative 4 and negative 17, they're both negative. So we're going to add those together and keep that sign. So 4 and 17 makes 21. Negative plus a negative is going to stay 21. And then I'm going to bring the rest down. Okay. So we just worked with the first two numbers. Bring everything else down. And then we do it again. So now we have these two numbers. So we say negative and a positive. So that's different signs. So we're going to subtract. So 22 minus 21 is 1, right? And then since 22 is higher than 21, it's going to stay a positive. So our answer to this whole thing, so negative 4 plus negative 17 plus 22 equals 1. Okay? And that's it. Adding and subtracting integers. Okay? Good luck. This is a tough one.